Well, good morning, everyone. And again, welcome to another Doctor is In podcast and live Facebook. And I'll just wait a minute again this morning to say hello to a few people here as we get started. And Michelle, our Michael from Wawa, how are you? Diane, how are you doing? Nativity and Jerry, good to have you on this morning with us. Sorry, it's good to see you on with us this morning. Janelle and Jeanette, and good to have you on this morning. Hey, big crowd already. Nancy, how are you? And Sherry. And hey, Sherry, love you too. Karen from Muskoka and from PEI, Vonda. And Elaine from BC, bright and early. Philadelphia, Sarah, back on with us this morning. And Wendy. And from Texas, Anna, good morning to you. And Donna and Shirley. Having my vitamin C. You're having your coffee, this morning? And Maria and Nellie. Dave, how are you? Good to have you on. Okay, and I mean that. Much appreciated. And I will go on shortly after here just to acknowledge everybody else, okay? Fascinating article came out of the USA Today. Now, I bet you just about dollars to donuts that you didn't see this, because I didn't hear about it anywhere else. I flagged it, found this fascinating, okay? And it's an article in USA Today, and it's about Mexico and Coca-Cola, okay? Now, let me elaborate. It's Mexico and Coca-Cola. Now, I just want to quote Hugo Lopez Gatell, okay? And I'm probably not saying that last name properly. Hugo Lopez Gatell, who is the health undersecretary in Mexico, was going after Coca-Cola. Okay, he's the health undersecretary in charge of COVID. Now listen to this. Listen to this. Absolutely incredible. Here's what he's saying. Here's what Hugo Lopez Gatell says, okay? The consumption of soda is making COVID a lot worse. The consumption of soda is making COVID a lot worse in Mexico. Hugo, you got it. I'm shocked. I'm shocked because here in North America, they've hardly acknowledged this. And what he's saying is, let me just elaborate on what he said. So it's not what I said; it's what he said. He said 3/4 of the population in Mexico. I didn't know this, but it was in the USA Today article. It says 3/4 of the population in Mexico is overweight. 3/4 is either diabetic, overweight, or have high blood pressure. This is phenomenal, guys. That the Undersecretary of Health in Mexico is pinning the pandemic. And why it's worse in Mexico because of, well, he's blaming soda. And I didn't realize this, but okay, let me just give you some statistics here that was in the article. Mexicans drink more than 163 liters, okay, per year. I know in the United States, it's 50 gallons a year on average that people drink in the United States of soda. I looked it up. Coke, Coca-Cola in Mexico is cheaper than water. Now listen to this. Bottlers of Coke deliver products to remote areas of the country, Mexico, where portable water is scant and is often sold for less than water. I'm quoting the article. This information says the czar is being covered up. Sugary drink consumption leads to 40,000 deaths a year in Mexico alone, according to Hugo Lopez. Soda habits start young in Mexico. 70% have soda for breakfast in Mexico. Guys, if you drink a sugary drink, including, because the number one fruit in Canada and the United States, what's the number one fruit? People drink it. They don't eat it. They drink it. It's called orange juice. And apple juice is number two. When people put, oh, I have fruit, they drink their fruit. That's the worst thing you can do. You drink orange juice and drink a Pepsi. I like picking on Pepsi, Coca-Cola. It's the same amount of sugar. Ah, Dr. Martin, it's Tropicana. I don't care. It don't matter. Never drink sugar. Never drink sugar. Have you noticed with Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie? You get to use a few berries. That's it. You're not drinking sugar. It amazes me when people think they're drinking something good when they go to, like a smoothie shop in the mall or whatever. Oh, look at this one. The grams of sugar in there are absolutely incredible. There's nothing healthy about it. Nothing. And this czar has tied it together. It's amazing to me. Because I always see myself as John the Baptist, screaming in the wilderness. Hello, you out there. Hello. It's not the virus. I don't care if you wear a mask. I don't care if you wash your hands. I don't care if you social distance. Hello. It's your diet. The only people that get sick. And that's what he's saying even in Mexico. The underlying, the underbelly of COVID is insulin. Imagine, in the USA Today publication, the underbelly of COVID is metabolic syndrome. It's insulin. It's food. Incredible. It's incredible. Think about that. And he was going after, I'm going to tell you who's going to win, and it won't be him. He's going after one of the biggest companies in the world, Coca-Cola. You know, I've said this many a times. Our First Nation people here in Canada, I sort of joke a little bit. And I say, you know, we took your land and now we're going to kill you. Just eat the way we eat. You're not eating off the land. You're consuming our sugar and our sugary products. It will kill you. And the link between, well, even the czar said it, the link between soda consumption and obesity. Imagine in Mexico. I didn't know that, did you? 3/4 of the population is obese. You know what it is to African Americans? You know what it is? Black Lives Matter. But they're looking for the wrong thing. 80% of the African American population is obese. They're going to wipe themselves out by their consumption. What is it in North America? 80% of, or at least in Canada, it's somewhere near 80% of our First Nation people are diabetic or pre. Well, 88% of the population, now you've heard me say this in the past, have metabolic syndrome. But that's a food thing. It's insulin. 88% of the North Americans are unhealthy. It's the whole thing about COVID, guys. Now listen, COVID, when it got into the senior homes, it went like wildfire. And I've always said, you guys know me, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. If they need to protect the seniors in those homes. I get it. But otherwise, it's people that have metabolic syndrome that get sick. If you don't have metabolic syndrome, you're not getting sick. Oh, I know, your cousin or what. No, but I'm just giving you facts. Imagine in Mexico, 3/4 of the population, 70% of the people in Mexico start their day off with a soda. It's incredible. It's incredible. One of the worst things we can do is drink sugar. It's worse than eating it. Because when you're drinking sugar, you're drinking fructose. It gets stored as fat in your liver immediately. It don't pass go. It's like Monopoly. It's heading right to the liver. I was saying this the other day. Tony Jr. and I were talking about it, and he actually wrote an email about it. Bears. They want to fatten up. They're eating berries. And we're going to talk about that. I think tomorrow. We're going to do the chipmunk story tomorrow. I'm going to talk to you about that. But you see, I mean, the average person in Mexico is consuming 3 sodas a day. A day. Water's more expensive than the Coke is down there. And Coca-Cola bottles water. Right? I think it's, is it Dasani? Someone tell me. I think so. They have Dasani water. That's Coca-Cola, guys. It's just filtered water. They take the impurities out of it and bottle it. It's more expensive in Mexico than soda is. In North America, you know what, guys? I can't tell you the last time I had a soda. I mean that. You know, my father, I've told you the story so many times, but, you know, my dad was the first guy that I ever met that drank Diet Pop, Tab. Yuck! That stuff was awful. But my dad found out he was a diabetic in Canada's centennial year, 1967. And my dad changed all his habits. No more soda. It had to be a diet soda. Now, I don't want to talk about diet soda, whatever, whether that's good for you or not. It's not the point. But you know what? I used to drink soda, and then when my dad stopped, I wasn't drinking the diet stuff. I couldn't stand it in those days. I think they make them better today. But you know what? You start forming habits. Drink water. Wean your kids on water. The second they get off breast milk, give them water. They don't need to drink even milk, which I call white Pepsi. Grocery store milk, unless you have whole milk. You got a cow in the backyard, drink milk. Otherwise, don't touch it. Give them some cream to drink. They need the fat. No, but isn't that an interesting story? Think about that. Think of the ramifications of that. That COVID, the health undersecretary, the health czar for COVID is blaming Coca-Cola. Wow. I mean, I find that fascinating. Now, good luck with that, Mr. Czar. Good luck with that. And these what goes on in the world behind the scenes? 2 big influences in the world. They're the biggest in the world. The most influence in the world, 2 of them. Big food and big pharma. Big food and big pharma. And big food and big pharma are strong people. They have influence in every level of the government. You know, in March, when we started COVID, We were out to flatten the curve. That was supposed to take us a couple of weeks just to make sure the hospitals weren't overwhelmed. Everybody understood that. The World Health Organization in March, and I'm quoting them, were telling people not to wear a mask. You didn't need it. But I'm telling you, folks, I don't know if the mask will ever go away. That's just me. I'm not optimistic. In Canada, we saw our Premier of Ontario and the Prime Minister of Canada get together last week and have a news conference because they were opening up a manufacturing plant for masks. Now, guys, there's a reason for that, meaning that masks are not going to go away, in my humble opinion. It's the new normal. We better get used to it. I don't like it because it's not telling us the truth. The truth is what the health czar in Mexico told us. The truth is we're a very unhealthy people. North America, Brazil is going through a lot of COVID right now, but nobody's talking about why. Because there will not be enough, in my opinion, emphasis put on the actual problem. It will be the virus, the virus, the virus. And the pharmaceutical companies are going to come out with a vaccine. They're almost there. And I'm not telling you not to take it or whatever. I'm not saying anything about that. It's not the panacea that people think it will be, in my opinion, because, well, the flu shot only works 40% of the time, and I've talked to you about that so often, not that I'm even telling you not to take it. Don't misquote me. Don't say, well, Dr. Martin doesn't believe in the flu shot. Don't say that. I'm not saying it. All I'm saying is this. Last year was 40%. The year before it was 30% effectiveness. Why? That's why I want to talk about it. Because they're missing the point. Even the flu vaccine doesn't work if you have metabolic syndrome, which is insulin resistance. Your cells have a coating. Every cell in the body has a coating. And the more insulin you use, the more the coating resists insulin. It's like, think of insulin. Have you ever had a lock that you've had trouble opening? Have you ever had that? Our front door right here. I don't know, it was jammed or whatever. It didn't matter. Like, it took you, I'm exaggerating, but it seemed like several minutes to get in. The lock wasn't working properly, and the key, you'd put it in there. But that's what your cells do when you have too much sugar in your diet or crappy carbohydrates. Your cells don't let insulin, which is the key, it doesn't let it open the cell properly. Now, insulin will stay there and stay there and stay there till it's got to take sugar out of the bloodstream. It must. But so it'll use more and more and more and more insulin until it opens up the cell to allow sugar to be stored. That's what insulin resistance is. That's what metabolic syndrome is. It's food. It's food. COVID is food. It's not the virus. If you're metabolically healthy, your chances of getting sick by COVID are almost nil. That's a fact. Well, even 99% of the population. Still, this virus isn't as deadly. It killed a lot of people, but it was because, well, first of all, it was seniors. It was people, the average age in North America of people who died were over 85. That's the average age. And I feel sorry for families that were unable to be with their loved ones and all that. That was a tragedy of all tragedies. Terrible. Couldn't go to a funeral. Crazy. Look, anyway, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but it's amazing to me. And south of the American border in Mexico, they're dealing with still a pandemic there. In Canada, like we got nothing left here, you know? I saw something yesterday that said that it's a case-demic. Even in the United States, it's a case-demic. It's not a pandemic, it's a case-demic. Well, the more you test, the more you're going to find. And the CDC actually came out with this yesterday. You know what they said, the CDC? Was it the CDC or the World Health Organization? I get them mixed up. I think it was the CDC that said, quit testing asymptomatic people. If you have no symptoms, or if you had symptoms before and you don't anymore, they're not recommending testing. Don't test anymore. Because all you're doing is having a case-demic. Yesterday in Ontario, 180 people tested positive for COVID. So what? Were they sick? Were they in the hospital? It's a case-demic now that we're going through. That's brought to you, in my opinion, by the pharmaceutical companies. Because they're not going to let us do anything until we have a vaccine. It was first wash your hands, it was social distancing, it was self-isolate, and don't touch your face. Now wear a mask. The next one will be the vaccine. I don't think they're going to ever let this go. And the biggest problem coming down the pike, in my opinion, aside from metabolic syndrome, is the next bacteria that's coming. That ought to concern us. Tuberculosis, making a roaring comeback. And the inefficiency of antibiotics. You know what? Companies are hardly looking for any new antibiotics. I read that. The pharmaceutical companies, there's no money in it. It cost them $1 billion at least to bring a new antibiotic to the marketplace. Over $1 billion. And there's no money in it. They can't charge enough for an antibiotic. So the pharmaceuticals are looking for a vaccine. That's where the money's going to be. But not antibiotics. And I'm telling you, I'm just making a prediction. The next big bug will be bacterial, not viral. The one that will be really deadly, and it has killed a lot more people than even this in 2019 and 2020, what will kill more people than COVID is tuberculosis. which is developing a resistance big time to antibiotics. And these bacteria that are coming, that are resistant to antibiotics, is the next scourge. So remember, metabolic syndrome is something you can control. And don't drink soda. I shouldn't have to say it, and don't drink juice. Don't drink that stuff. The grams of sugar is insanity. So that's really important. Isn't it a crazy story? Think about what I just brought to you today about COVID and Coca-Cola. I think I mentioned it last week. Hold on, let me see if I can find it in my notes. Coca-Cola spent, was it $2 billion or $3 billion? I know I have it in my notes here. Let me just see if I can find the exact amount. Coca-Cola, 10 minutes left, spent $3 billion, I believe. Coke paid scientists over $2 billion, here it is, to downplay how sugary beverages fueled the obesity crisis. Here's a headline. Coke, this is just Coke. I'm not even talking to you about Pepsi. Paid scientists to downplay how sugary beverages fuel the obesity crisis. I'm surprised they didn't stop the USA Today story. They paid scientists to say, oh, sugar's not that bad. Follow the money. Coca-Cola paid to buy scientists to say sugar's not that bad. Moderation. Sounds good. It's not true. We live in a completely different world today. I emphasize that. We live in a completely different world. What you used to eat as a kid doesn't apply anymore. I'm sorry. We live in a completely different world. In my new book, I brought it out. Like, everything's changed. They changed the flour. They changed the fat. They changed the sugar even to high fructose corn syrup. Made in a lab. They changed our minds. Food industry. Huge. Lots of money. Some of the biggest companies in the world. And they go after the media to make them toe the line. You want our money in advertising? Then stay quiet. I'm surprised the USA Today story got out. I don't know how many people read it. It shocks. It ought to shock us. Again, pass this around so we get the message out. Share it with your family, your friends. Credible. Know the underlying story of even COVID. You know, we may not be able to change anything, but we can at least take care of ourselves. And to the extent that people will listen to us, right? Like I used to tell my patients all the time, I can't go home with you. I can't do this for you. You got to do it for yourself. Okay. So, tomorrow, the chipmunk story, I promise. Okay. And you'll find it interesting. share this. Okay? Love you guys. Now remember, if you're not part of our little family, well, it's a big family of the Martin Clinic private Facebook group, then invite your friends to come on and join us in that private group. Okay? Lots of good things happen in that group. Friday is question and answer Friday, so send in your questions. I know we've got some already for Friday, and that's great. Don't be shy. Okay? So we love you guys, and talk to you soon.